The sun dipped low over the endless mesas, painting the horizon in molten amber and bruised violet, while the wind whispered through the sagebrush like a memory too stubborn to fade. Clara, a girl of 23, wandered alone along the dusty trail, her boots scuffing the earth with quiet determination. Her chest rose and fell with the rhythm of someone accustomed to solitude, and her eyes, wide and alert, held both the defiance of survival and the tender fragility of one who had been overlooked, underestimated, and left to find her own way. Every step she took carried the weight of countless nights beneath indifferent stars, each one a silent witness to her courage. Her journey was interrupted by the soft, deliberate sound of hooves against stone. She froze, heart quickening, hands brushing against her worn coat, expecting either danger or indifference. But the rider who appeared from the horizon did not gallop recklessly. He approached with measured calm, as if he belonged both to the land and apart from it. Ethan, 28, dismounted with careful grace, his eyes holding a quiet steadiness, a depth that spoke of patience and perception. There was no swagger, no hasty charm, only a subtle strength that suggested he had learned to move through the world without harming it or those he cared for. He extended a hand, his voice soft as the evening breeze. "Come with me, you'll be safe." The words were simple, yet they carried a gravity that Clara had not felt in years. Safety had been a distant notion, a dream interrupted by betrayal and neglect. Her first instinct was to doubt, to retreat, to brace herself against disappointment. Yet the steady calm in Ethan's gaze, the absence of demand or expectation, stirred something fragile but persistent within her. She stepped forward, hesitant yet drawn to the promise of sanctuary. The path led them through jagged cliffs that glowed in the last light of day, shadows stretching like silent guardians. The desert seemed to breathe around them, the wind carrying a coyote's distant howl, the rustle of dry leaves, the soft sigh of dust drifting over stones. Clara spoke in fragments, hesitant and careful, sharing glimpses of her past, towns that had failed her, nights spent searching for warmth in a world that offered little, moments of fleeting joy that vanished as quickly as they had appeared. Ethan listened, fully present, never interrupting, never assuming. When her voice faltered, his steady gaze offered reassurance. When she paused, he gave space, and in those silences, she felt the weight of being truly seen. By the time the small cabin emerged from between the cliffs, smoke curling from its chimney, the sun had vanished completely, leaving the sky a deep indigo streaked with a faint glimmer of stars. Ethan pushed the door open, the warm scent of burning cedar and dry wood spilling into the cool night air. He draped a worn blanket over Clara's shoulders, fingers brushing hers in a simple, deliberate gesture of care. She felt a pulse of warmth, not from the fire alone, but from the presence of someone who neither judged nor demanded, someone whose gentleness was as deliberate as it was sincere. Inside, the fire crackled, casting dancing shadows along the walls. They spoke in quiet tones, slowly uncovering fragments of their lives. Clara's voice, hesitant at first, grew steadier as Ethan responded with patience and subtle encouragement, sharing only the necessary details of his own story, revealing a life built on observation, respect, and integrity. Their conversation was neither rushed nor forced. It flowed like the desert wind, natural and unhurried, drawing them closer without the need for grand gestures or dramatic declarations. The world outside raged with cold and wind, yet within the cabin, there was only the fragile intimacy of two souls learning to trust one another. As night deepened, the firelight softened, illuminating the quiet intensity of Ethan's gaze. He stepped closer, voice low, barely above the whisper of embers. "Clara, I've felt this from the first moment I saw you. Your courage, your kindness, the way you endure even when the world forgets. I care for you more than I can say." Clara's chest tightened, and tears blurred her vision. She had not anticipated such words, had not imagined anyone could see her so completely. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Thank you. I didn't know. I didn't think, but now I feel seen, truly seen." The tension that had coiled around her chest for so long unraveled in that moment, leaving a thrilling pulse of relief, hope, and recognition. There were no heroic feats or dramatic rescues, only the profound intimacy of two people discovering each other in the quiet chaos of the world. The climax was subtle yet powerful, an emotional crescendo carried not by action, but by honesty, acknowledgement, and the long-awaited confession of a heart laid bare. The cabin felt suspended in time, the storm outside a distant roar, while inside, warmth and connection radiated between them. Clara leaned slightly closer, her hands brushing his, her eyes shining with a mixture of disbelief and deep, trembling gratitude. Ethan's presence, steady and unwavering, anchored her, offering the first true sense of safety she had known in years. The desert, vast and indifferent beyond the walls, seemed suddenly less daunting, softened by the shared courage of two people willing to trust, to see, and to be seen. Ethan's hand lingered near hers, brushing softly, a gentle affirmation of the bond that had formed. Then, with a quiet finality that resonated like the distant toll of a bell, he spoke again. "I love you, Clara, more than I have words for." Her tears fell freely, not of sorrow, but of recognition and relief, the first honest ones in years. She pressed a hand to her chest, feeling the pulse of truth reverberate through her being, and whispered, I never thought I could feel this again." The climax settled, thrilling and satisfying, a quiet eruption of emotion that left both breathless and profoundly fulfilled. No spectacle was needed. The intensity of honesty and trust carried them to the heights of human connection. In the soft glow of the fire, two souls sat together, anchored not by circumstance, but by the profound recognition of courage, kindness, and love. In the quiet aftermath, Clara understood a truth the West had long withheld from her, that safety and belonging were not merely places, but people. That courage was measured not in solitary feats, but in the willingness to open one's heart to trust and be seen. And as the night stretched on, filled with whispers of wind and embers' soft crackle, both felt the thrilling certainty that, for the first time in a long while, they were not alone.